ninth graders, welcome back to English class. I hope your day is going good so far. Today we are about to start a short stories. So I'm really excited for this. This is going to be a lot of fun, a lot of good reading. But sometimes with stories, it's really easy to get them all mixed up. When I was in school, my notes were terrible. I would be reading stories, and as I'm reading, writing some things down. I was a Post-it taker. I'd take some down with some Post-its, stick them in there. But whenever I went back to it, they didn't make any sense to me. Like, why did I write this down? Who is this character? There's probably better ways that I could have done this. Help me cut down on some studying time, help me remember what's going on, making more connections in the stories. It's really beneficial to do some really good reading strategies. And today we're going to talk about some of those. So we're going to start with our very first short story. It's a very short one paragraph. So I'm going to have someone read this. If I could get one volunteer to read this out loud for the class. Yes, Zach.
There was a merchant in Baghdad who sent his servant to a market to buy provisions, and in a little while the servant came back white and trembling and said, "Master, just now when I was in the marketplace I was jostled by a woman in the crowd, and when I turned I saw it was death and jostled me. She looked at me and made a threatening gesture. Now lend me your horse and I will ride away from the city and avoid my fate. I will go to Samara, and there death will not find me." The merchant lent him his horse, and the servant mounted it, and he dug his spurs in its flanks, and as fast as the horse could gallop, he went. Then the merchant went down to the marketplace, and he saw me standing in the crowd, and he came to me and said, "Why did you make a threatening gesture to my servant when you saw him this morning?" "That was not a threatening gesture," I said. "It was only a start of surprise. I was astonished to see him in Baghdad, for I had an appointment with him tonight in Samara."
Okay, so it's only a paragraph, but wow, a lot is happening. So I'm going to leave this up here. Can you all read that okay? Can I adjust this maybe? I can zoom in. I suppose that would have been helpful for you, Zach, while you were reading. In your groups, first I want you to talk about the story. See if you can talk a little bit about the characters, what's going on here, what's happening in the end of the story. And then after you do that, I want you to talk about what you think maybe the most important element is. And I want you to remember that the elements could be anything from the characters, the narrator, point of view, the plot, conflicts, how characters travel across settings, any of that stuff. What do you think is the most important element? So go ahead and talk. I'll give you about 3 minutes. A bit.
Like a joke story.
Oh,
now I'm
yeah.
trying to figure out I know the punchline, but now I'm trying to figure out what the joke was within it. 'Cause it's like,
So what's the
he's not
punchline?
a big guy, but I had a point with him tonight in Samara, and that's what
Okay.
he's
Yeah. Good catch on that one.
going. So I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to figure out that sequential.
So,
The speaker is dead. Oh, I didn't even see that first sentence.
yeah. Oh, yes. So the speaker's death, and he sees the servant in the market and is shocked by it. Because where did he think the servant would be?
And Samara.
In Samara. Because?
Because he's gonna kill him there.
Yes. So can you escape death there? Can you get away from him? No. You can't. How's it going with you guys?
Good.
Getting the story?
Yeah.
All right. What do you think about death here?
I think that's funny.
Death is funny.
You don't think that's funny?
Oh, well, why do you think so?
Michael doesn't think it's funny.
No?
I'm just kidding.
Well.
No,
What do you guys think about the story? Mm-hmm.
It's kind of ironic that you can't escape death.
Mm-hmm. All right. Very nice. How are you guys doing with the story? Good.
But that was the merchant talking to death, right? That last sentence.
Okay, so what do you see happening here? Yeah. Okay. Very nice. Good catch there. How's it going with you guys in the story? What are you guys talking about? Discussing? What do you guys think about death in there?
Personified.
Yes. And so what is death doing? Yeah, well, the merchant is death, you think? Okay, so let's take it piece by piece. What happens in the end here? Samara. So Death wants to meet the servant in Samara, yeah? And he said he was surprised to see the servant in Baghdad? Okay, so, yeah, so the servant tried to run, but did he actually run away? No? Yeah. Okay, so did that help with what's going on here? Okay, so now maybe think about what you think is really important in this. So there's a couple places that they're in. There's a couple characters interacting here. The point of view is kind of interesting. So think about what you think is important. How are you guys doing with the story? Good. Oh. So you're doing okay with the characters and what's going on in the end there? What do you guys think about death?
We were talking about the gender roles, interesting in the way.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that is really cool.
But it's the woman. I don't know. In our culture, it's woman. Death is interesting as a man.
Okay.
I think it's also interesting to portray death as a person and like how the merchant just like went and talked to it. Like you just see death.
Yeah. All right, cool. Okay, let's come back together. Can I get a couple of volunteers from the groups to share what they thought about the story and what they think is the most important part of the story? Yes, Ben.
I thought an important part was kind of the twist or the plot. So I guess kind of the moral is that you can't really escape your own fate or destiny, no matter how much you try.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good one. Anybody else? Any other ideas? Yeah. Kristen.
Really interesting that it was told from the perspective of death and that death was apparently female.
Yeah, so the female parts there stuck out to you? I heard that a couple of times with the groups too. Any other ideas? It can be anything that's really stuck out to you. Yes.
It's a great example of irony.
Mm-hmm.
One is Samara that ran away from death because it's really leaving Samara.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Hannah.
Talked about the personification of death and
Okay.
the female role of death.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool too. So I'm hearing a lot of these words thrown out here. We have irony, we have personification. We're talking about gender a little bit. There's a lot of different things stuffed into this one short story. So if I asked you in a month, do you think you'd be able to remember all of these things? Probably not. So let's talk about a couple ways that we can represent this story in a way that would be better for our memory. There are a few options that we're going to look at today for graphic outlining. Graphic outlining is a visual representation of any information that you've read or seen, any kind of text. So there's a few different ways that I've put together just as some examples. And the first is going to be, go down here. The first one we have here is the plot roller coaster. It has the very basic structures of a short story, starting with the beginning, where you're introduced to the characters in the setting. Then it goes into the problem or conflict, things that are happening, going up with the action. And then when you get to the very top of the roller coaster, you have your climax, coming all the way down, any attempts to a solution. At the very end, you'll have your resolution. So that's a pretty basic structure of the plot. Going more in depth, if you want to focus on plot, we have our story mountain. And so here's one way you can do this. It's very similar to the roller coaster. There's a few more spots that are open to fill in here. Introduction, we got the parts of point of view, setting characters, going up with the complication, what the crisis is, and what the climax is, anything that happens that you would see as a falling action. Then you'll see a character come to a decision, maybe a little bit more rising action, and finally the resolution. Or if instead of focusing on the plot, you wanted to focus on comparing things, this is for comparing and contrasting. It's a little different than a Venn diagram. You can use a Venn diagram as well. I, however, have always struggled with circles because I feel like I can never quite fit what I want to say in there. And so at the top, you can put the two different things. If you're comparing two characters, comparing two settings, comparing two conflicts, two events. And then in the first box, you have how they are alike. And then the arrow splits to show how they're different, following with item number 1 and number 2. If you want to compare more than two things, you can use the story feature analysis. Down here on the left side, you can put down characters' names, the different settings, any conflicts going on, anything else that you really wanted to compare as part of the story. And then across the top, you'll put the characteristics. So if you're doing characters, you might put a few personality traits that they might have. You might also talk about, if you're doing setting, where the setting is located, if it's during a certain time, different settings, how people are moving around from place to another. If you're doing conflicts, you can talk about who is the conflict with, what's the conflict about, how are they trying to solve it. Anything that you're trying to compare can go into the feature analysis. One of the last examples that I have for you is a mind map set up like a pie. And so this would be good if you think that multiple story elements are crucial in the story. You could fill them out in the pie circles, and then coming off of them, as many boxes as you need to describe each of those elements and why they're important. Now, I showed you a lot of examples, and so if you need refreshers on any of them, I can bring those around as well. But I really encourage you to think of, if you need to make one that would best be helpful for you to remember. Which one do you think will help you remember the feature that stood out to you the most? You could make up your own, use an example that I provided, or combine them in some way, whatever you think will help. So I'm going to give you guys just a couple minutes here to get started in your groups, and then you can go ahead and finish it at home. So go get started. I'll be walking around. If you have a question, raise your hand, and I'll be around. A couple of roller coasters in there. All right. What are you guys thinking?
We don't know yet.
Don't know.
We could compare the servant to death and their perspectives of the story. Possibly.
That would be good. Yeah. How much would you do? Which structure for that one? Which outlining?
Probably that two-column one.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Very lots of great examples.
Okay. Got the 15 minutes?
Yeah, you never have to worry about that. There's always several events.
How's it going for you guys?
Can I put the story mountain on the wall?
Sure. 1 minute. Okay. All right, how are you guys doing? Good. All right. Do you have any questions about the options there, or any other ideas you want to talk about? No. Okay. Sounds good. That is a lovely outline. How are you going to put your elements in there?
I'm trying to figure that out right now.
Okay. I like how you're being creative, though. Whatever works for you. Okay, class, it is time to wrap up. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you tomorrow.